We've grown up to cherish players of the past. MJ, Wilt, Bird, Magic Johnson, and the list goes. Rules within the NBA have developed immensely over time, and it wasn't out of the blue or from thin air. Sometimes, all it takes is one incredible once-in-a-generation player to absurdly abuse a technique until the league has no other choice but to force a new rule and have it implemented immediately. Today, we take a look at 8 players that forced rule changes in the NBA. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more baller content. Let's get it! Number 8, Wilt Chamberlain. To no surprise, Wilt Chamberlain was consistently the most athletic player on the court at any time in the NBA, but absolutely nothing could be implemented to contain or limit his athleticism from taking over the scoreboard and stat sheets. Because of Wilt, the league widened the lane from 12 feet to 16. Wilt's teammates would also routinely stand behind the NBA backboard during an ordinary inbound pass from the baseline, intentionally for Wilt. With his teammate waiting patiently to inbound the ball by standing directly behind the backboard, Wilt would simply get an intimidatingly fast-running start from the top of the key, while his teammate would inbound the ball over the backboard. 10 out of 10 times, Wilt would rise above the herd and throw it down for an easy flush over smaller defenders. Teams simply couldn't contain Chamberlain. Unfortunately, there were so many complaints to the league's front office and commissioner that the NBA would ban inbound passes from over the backboard altogether. Number 7, Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen is relatively unknown in today's basketball scene, yet it didn't stop him from having a major impact on the NBA. Players absolutely hated competing against Bowen, and it wasn't for his incredible defense or stunning athletic display. Bowen was known for putting his feet under players in the air while in the motion of their shot. Similar to the injury Kawhi Leonard sustained due to the actions of Zaza Pachulia several years ago in the NBA playoffs, Bowen would discreetly try to injure the opponent player by slipping his foot under their initial takeoff spot. The NBA was in the loop of this when Bowen was in the midst of his career and instituted an immediate rule change forcing every player to have a safe landing spot during their offensive possessions. Bowen would retire in 2009, but he's made a lasting impact on future NBA endeavors. And number 6, Charles Barkley. As a basketball player, you always think it's petty or useless when a referee stops the play because of someone standing in the paint for too long. But how did that become a rule? Make sure to send a thank you letter to both Charles Barkley and Mark Jackson. The pair were both relatively dominant 90s players who specialized in loitering around the paint for the entirety of the shot clock until they could get off the best shot imaginable. Because of the positive rate in which this worked and how persistent players were loitering in the paint for upwards of 20 seconds, the NBA instated a 5-second paint violation, ultimately eliminating a constant battle down low in the paint that stalled play. Number 5, Shaquille O'Neal. Easily one of the top 3 most physically dominant players to exist as we know it, Shaq was notorious for his style of bully ball. Nobody could outmaneuver Shaq in the paint man-to-man, let alone be a neutral body to his bodybuilder-like frame. Previously, the NBA had a ban in the 90s about the constant use of a zone defense, which would allow multiple players to swarm the possessor of the ball in the paint rather than a casual one-on-one. Due to the dominance of Shaq and the rate at which he was performing 1 versus 1 against your parents' old favorite player in the paint, the NBA front office would pass a rule allowing constant zone defense, allowing opposing coaches to send as many defenders at Shaq in the paint as he desired. And believe it or not, the league also had to change backboard support and stanchion design because Mr. Superman brought down the backboard twice. So you can say Shaq left his mark on the league in more ways than one. Number 4, Allen Iverson. If you pick out your favorite outfits from head to toe with accessories, you're most definitely going to be pressed about this next rule change. It's almost as though the NBA couldn't respect the amount of drip and swag Iverson would wear on the bench when injured. Due to Allen Iverson wearing baggy street clothes and accessories on the bench while sidelined, the NBA decided in 2005 that they would seek to clean up that image. To solve this quote-unquote problem, the NBA installed a series of rules as to what the NBA players cannot wear on the bench when not dressed in uniform. The rules are as followed. Absolutely no chains, pendants, or medallions around a player's neck or clothes unless otherwise for religious purposes, sunglasses, headgear unless necessary, headphones, earbuds, or any object that can relay separate audio to a player while watching the game, outside jerseys supporting other players, retired players, or even the player's jersey if he is injured. Needless to say, the NBA experienced a bit of an immediate uprising from the players because of this decision in the mid-2000s. However, the tempers of the players were quickly dealt with and handled because, after all, the players are still able to arrive and leave in their custom fits, which have become a cult following by fashionistas and photographers seeking pre-game arrival outfit photos. Number 3. Dwyane Wade. In today's NBA, you can assume it's quite easy to draw transparent contact from another player to ensure a trip to the free throw line. Prior to James Harden religiously practicing this strategy, jumping into defenders after pump fakes to draw shooting fouls was one of the many tricks D-Wade had in his game. Wade was in constant criticism about the majority of how his trip to the rim would result in a constant whistle. Wade was known around the league for starting the trend of jumping into players before releasing a close shot to the basket, therefore leaving room and airtime to be able to exaggerate physical contact by the defensive player. The NBA quickly caught up to the antics of Wade and implemented a pretty straightforward rule in 2011. The offensive player in possession of the ball is not allowed to jump into contact going up for the layup once a defender is already jumping straight up in the air defending the offensive possession. The NBA hoped this would prevent unnecessary contact between smaller guards and more towering forwards when they met at the hoop. Although this hasn't quite been the outcome, as the rule is more abused than ever as each regular season progresses. Number 2, Bob Kurland. Kurland never played a game in the National Basketball League once it began in the 1940s and 50s, which would ultimately develop into the modern-day National Basketball Association. However, the lasting impact he would have on the NBA has continued and will continue into every single season going forward. Goaltending. A 2-time NCAA champion at Oklahoma State, Kurland was known for using his lanky, 7-foot figure to roam the paint. He would wait until the offensive player released a shot from anywhere on the floor just to swat it away from the basket before it had a chance to touch the rim or ultimately put points on the scoreboard. Opposing players became so incredibly frustrated with Kurland that opposing teams and head coaches begged the NCAA for an immediate rule change. They asked and ultimately received. In 1945, the NCAA would implement the first goaltending rule, allowing no player to alter the course of the ball in the air once it is in a downwards arc after release. Kurland would never join the National Basketball League, rather electing to play for a separate amateur league called the Phillips Petroleums of the Athletic Amateur Union, AAU, called the Oilers. All leagues, however, would choose to adopt the goaltending rule, as all leagues deemed it essential to prevent genetically tall and dominant players from changing the course of the game because of their ancestral genes. Number 1, Reggie Miller. The sharpshooter, the kid from Cali. The man who scored 8 points in 9 seconds. Reggie Miller was a premier NBA three-point threat and a founding father of the excessive use and attempt of the three-point shot. Reggie realized early on in his NBA career how easily he was able to draw a foul off of a pump fake jump shot. So, he decided to create his own spin on the loophole. Why settle for taking 2 free throws when you could easily add 1 more attempt while you're at the line already? Why not make it 3, right? Reggie Miller developed his excessive use of the leg kick. Whenever a defender was close to Miller while defending a shot on the perimeter, Miller would casually pump fake to get his defender airborne. Just before the defender would touch back onto the court again, Miller would throw up an absurd shot while kicking his feet out from underneath him. Casually to every fan in the arena, anyone could make the argument as to how obvious it was that the defender fouled him on the way up while coming off of the pump fake. The NBA dealt with the frustration of the use of this strategy by ensuring that no player would take to the foul line having extended any feet out of its normal course in the motion of a jump shot. Any players you believe we missed? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, remember to turn notifications on to receive more amazing sports content. We hope you enjoyed our video. We'll see you next time at Bala Central.